Welcome to Experts and Insights, a close-up look at data protection challenges and solutions. Today's discussion is brought to you by Backbone Software. We all know that downtime is a huge issue for everyone, especially as it affects email, databases, and file servers. To illuminate this important issue, we have team coverage from a group of experts. They will discuss and enlighten us on the issues around downtime and how to get data back as fast as possible. Joining us today, we have Stephen Wynkoop, Microsoft SQL Server MVP, Arun Taneja, founder and consulting analyst with the Taneja Group, Robbie Wright, Chief Technical Consultant from Abtec, Dennis Martin, President of DeMartech, and Mark LeBlanc, Network Specialist at the Edmonton Public Library. Let's move right into our discussion. What are the nightmare scenarios that can happen to businesses during downtime?
We always tell people it's not a question of if, it's more of a question of when something happens. There's been some actually really famous things that have happened on the web where companies had blogging services and news services and that kind of thing, and something happened to their databases, either the servers crashed or the hacker got in or something like that, and they didn't have the right backups in place, and they literally went out of business. So, I mean, it's about as nightmare as you get.
One of the big nightmare scenarios for me is when the CEO of the company can't get to his email. Email is extremely critical to most companies' operations nowadays. Almost all communications are done that way. When was the last time you stuck a stamp on a letter? From a database standpoint, having your financials up and running and also your ERP systems is probably about as critical as it comes. Those two applications or three applications are pretty much the core of any company. And when they're down, you're losing money.
Some businesses have actually measured how much it costs them per hour or even per minute if their systems are down, and that ranges anywhere from thousands of dollars to potentially millions of dollars per hour, depending on the nature of the business. So it's a pretty serious thing.
Downtime, if it wasn't already in the past, I mean, it's certainly become enemy number one for IT.
It's just a matter of the impact to our customers. Because there's going to be longer lineups, our customers aren't going to be very happy if they come into the library and they can't use the computer system, they can't search the catalog. They're impacted, their lives are impacted, and we want to minimize that as much as possible. That's why we're trying to maintain our availability and reliability as much as possible.
What about downtime for applications? What can happen when Exchange or SQL go down? Stephen, let's start with you.
Well, certainly. I mean, the SQL and Exchange, both of those are not tools that people use in a kind of a lighthearted way. Those are things that are core applications to businesses. So when something like that goes away, generally your workforce or your staff is sort of stopped. If you think about how reliant you are on email, for example, and Microsoft Exchange and all of the different things that you do with that, it's a huge issue to have that go away, especially for an extended period of time.
Robbie, what's your take on this? What can happen when Exchange or SQL go down?
Well, when Exchange goes down, all of a sudden your company starts feeling very disconnected. It becomes a major issue in that, especially with a company where you have remote workers, all of a sudden you can't work anymore. You have to go back to telephone. The bad part about doing telephone is that you can't document what you're doing, whereas email automatically forms a document trail. If you're dealing with companies that are involved with Sarbanes-Oxley or HIPAA or anything like that, you're also required to have a regulation. By regulation, you're required to have a trail that is subpoenaable. So having your email down, not having your communications running correctly suddenly puts you in some pretty bad places.
Arun, are there any other ramifications of downtime and data loss?
So, applications can be either sort of internally focused. In other words, they're designed to help people do their work within a given company. When that type of an application goes down, typically the impact is on the IT guy that was responsible for keeping that application up and running. And it's not unusual to see one or two heads roll if the application is down for a significantly large amount of time.
Well, if the downtime is significant, then sometimes there are morale issues, either with the employees or more likely with the customers. If they call and you're put on hold a long time and you don't know why, and of course it might be because some systems are down so they can't get to you in time. I mean, we know what that feels like on the other end of that. When we call and we get put on hold for what seems like hours, that sort of lowers our impression of that company or that business. So there's that issue. And then, of course, even internally, in any reasonable sized company, if parts of the databases or the email or whatever it is are not functional, then the other people who aren't directly responsible kind of wonder, what are those guys doing over there? Why is it down all the time? So there's a morale issue, as we touched on before. It could be loss of revenue. If I call up the company and I'm looking for something and they don't have it, and the reason is because their computer's down. I'm a computer guy, I understand that, but after a while it's going to be, well, maybe I'll call somebody else. If they can't produce things during legal action, the fines are pretty ridiculous. The other thing that happens is if a company's down for an extended period of time, their chance of starting up again can get pretty slim. We had one company who lost their database through an error by one of the database administrators that wiped their database out. They didn't have a good backup on the system, and the company just about went completely under. It was only through heroic efforts by the parts of the system administrators and database administrators that we were able to recover their company and get them running again. Another large insurance company that I worked with had a database get corrupted over a period of time due to a computer malfunction. That cost them $17 million, and that was in 1980 dollars, with the state of California for not being able to file their taxes on time. The costs of not being able to come up or have your systems up quickly when they're needed can be as much as the cost of the company's worth. It can kill a company.
The last question for our team of experts is, how can businesses minimize or prevent downtime?
Minimizing downtime, preventing downtime, it really comes back to the tools. With the right tools in place, your backup process is kind of keeping up with the workflow. So as you're doing different things throughout the day and everything, if you've got the right tools in place that are kind of watching over it as you go along, then you're assured that when things go bad and you have to recover things, at least you've got everything backed up to the point of failure. You're not kind of rebuilding that since that last transaction log backup or the last exchange backup that might be half an hour old. So if you've got the right software in place, you can really minimize the downtime and really minimize the loss of data and get back up and running as quickly as possible.
First and foremost, classify your applications. Put some applications in the highest category, which would demand not only the best HA and fault tolerance, but then they will also command the best technology that's available for data protection. For example, for in that highest category, I would use the example of CDP, or continuous data protection, which essentially means that I'm protecting the data as it's being created. And so the advantage of that is that if something were to happen to that data and the application, I can go back to any point in time and recover to that thing.
To recap, there are many costs to downtime and data loss, including loss of revenue, bad publicity, loss of customer loyalty, internal morale issues, potential for IT employees to lose their jobs, and in the worst case scenario, downtime and data loss can result in a company going out of business. As our experts discussed, downtime and data loss can be minimized and prevented with some planning and the right tools to keep your most important data, like Exchange and SQL data, available and protected at all times. Thank you to our team of experts for today's discussion. And thank you for watching Experts and Insights, brought to you by Backbone Software.